Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Comic Art Live channel. Well, it's welcome back, right? We've been gone for 5 days. I think I've been offline. Very relaxing 5 days, but lots of production done during that time. Just no live stream. So happy to be back and happy to have all of you hanging out with me this evening. We're going to have a fun show because we are going to be doing a ComicConnect preview of all the artwork in their auction that's ending, I believe, next Monday. But I'm going to bring Micah in and he'll clue us in onto the particulars to this auction. Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you, Bill. How are you?
Fantastic.
So 5 days off. Is that your longest break between shows in like 3 years?
It feels like it, definitely. And it's definitely long overdue to take a little bit of time away from things. But I look at my upcoming schedule and I'm pretty much 5 days a week until San Diego. So that's okay.
That's a lot.
It is, but I'm well rested. So we were having a fun conversation before the show started. So maybe we should even just start there because you exhibited at 2 shows in the 2 weekends prior. You were at Como and you exhibited at Comic Art Live. So tell me a bit about both experiences.
Both were great. I think that Comic Art Live was our most successful one ever. I think that there was a lot of great stuff available and people were there buying, which is great. We sold some good pieces, hopefully, and making some people very happy, which is why we all do this.
Red Skull is very popular today.
Thanks for hosting those. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of work. This one was a ton of work because we were in Italy for Como the week before, and I literally got back into the office the day before Comic Art Live and spent that entire day uploading artwork. So, but it was worth it. So that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And for anybody watching, who's never been to Como, it's worthwhile. It's worth the trip. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. The show itself is great. Just a lot of artists and a lot of access to the artists, which you don't often get at big conventions. And not everything is as expensive as people sort of make it out. You know, people talk about that show like everybody jacks up the price of their commissions and artists are charging an arm and a leg for everything. And I found that to be not 100% the case. I mean, there's always going to be some people who take advantage of situations that they think they can. But I mean, I think for the most part, the artists were reasonable. It was a lot easier to get on a commission list than at any other show I've been to in the last 10 years. People who would normally be full up even before the show opened, you could go up to at noon and they'd have spaces available. And there were a lot of great dealers there and a lot of great dealers who don't set up at shows in America. So, European dealers with both European and American art. So the variety of stuff there is great. And it's in maybe the most beautiful place I've ever been. You get to the town and it doesn't feel real. It's very strange. I can't describe it. It's very strange. But I recommend it to anybody who loves art, and I can't imagine why you're watching this if you don't. It's worth the trip. It's worth the trip. You can bring the family. It's a great vacation destination. So it's like, yes, you've got the art show, but also it's in a stunning place. It's wonderful. And that was great. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I've been watching Scott Eater enjoying his multi-week vacation after that show. So you can tell
Vincent posted some nice pictures from his little post-show trip as well.
Yeah.
I posted a few. If you go to my personal Instagram, it's just my name. I posted some pictures of my extended stay in Italy.
I did see you in the background of several photographs during the show.
I get around.
Yes. None of your booth. I didn't see a booth photo, but I saw you at the party and I saw you.
I posted one of those on the ComicConnect Instagram.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Very European style cubicle booths. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I can't say enough nice things about it. It was great.
No, that's everything that I've heard too. I mean, I guess it was a little more overcast than it had been in the last few times.
But the weather was the only thing you could complain about, and even then, it's like, who cares?
What are you going to?
It was a rainbow.
Right, exactly. No, that's awesome. I mean, out of which collector were you most interested to have, or thankful to have met that you weren't expecting to get to meet there?
I mean, a lot of it was people that I've met before. I mean, but I met a lot of European collectors who I've only emailed with, Italian collectors especially. I met Philippe Boone, who's the Belgian collector who's working on a museum in Belgium. It was nice to meet him in person after only exchanging emails in the past. And just his plans, hearing what his plans are for, what he wants to do for comic art. I think it's all great. I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, see, that's to me, getting the opportunity to meet the collectors, the European collectors that you don't get to see here in the States is what would be.
No, it was great. I can't, I don't know what else I can add to that. If you've been on the fence about it or think weighing the expense, I think it's worth giving serious thought. You won't regret going. Whether you want to go every year, that's a whole different issue. But it's worth the trip. And I mean, just to see a lot of the European art that you don't see in America. I mean, a portfolio full of Hugo Pratt. You don't see that very often. Watching Manara draw or watching Liberatore draw, you don't get to see those things very often either. And they were just sitting there at the table, just drawing for people. It's great.
Did you think about getting on a list while you were there?
I'm not for their lists did fill up relatively quickly. I did get on a list. I did buy something.
Good.
So I bought from a European, but not an Italian. Not an Italian. I bought a drawing from Sean Phillips, which was great. It was great. Can't say nice things about Sean too. He did a great drawing for a reasonable price.
That is, I know. I was envious of that. Sean did like I think 6 or 7 pieces while he was there. Yeah. I kept following Mark, and he was showing off stuff that Sean had done. He's a great guy, and
he posted mine. It's one of the ones that Mark posted.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to go back and.
It's the girl from the book Fatal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know.
That's mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
but anyway, we have an auction.
You have an auction going on. When does that auction end, Micah?
The auction ends next Monday on the 5th, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern. Excuse me. And I think it's one of the best overall selections of art we've ever had. For perspective, every auction I go through and I put what I think are like the best pieces into a comic art fans gallery, sort of, promoting the auction. And generally it's 75, 80 pieces is, the highlights. For this auction, it was like 120. And that's a good percentage. And that's not to say that that's all the good pieces, that's what I considered like the pieces that needed to be,
right.
Were worthy of being shown and elevated in the preview gallery. So that's to me is a sign of overall quality. It's just like, the increasing number of pieces that are worthy of, the preview. Which is not to say, again, not disparaging the other pieces. There's still some really good ones that didn't make the cut. Pieces that would have in previous years, probably. So I think it's an excellent batch of stuff. There's a lot of variety, different eras, different types, different, probably the best, some of the best strip art we've ever had, or at least recently. Yeah, it's really, I'm pleased. But anyway, we'll get to show a good chunk of it here tonight.
Awesome. Well, that's the beauty. We have a show dedicated just to you tonight, so we can go a full 2 hours if we want.
I'll try to keep it a tight 2.
There you go. Jason says hi to us both. Nice to have you here, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
All right. Well, why don't we just dive into it, right? And let's take a look at the pieces here. And well, actually, what you have some of this in hand, right?
I have most of it. Most of it is in hand. Some of it, unfortunately, is not. But that's why we have the share screen feature.
Well, here, why don't we? I'll let you be the large
All
screen,
right.
and we'll
So
get started.
First we have covered a Conan the Barbarian number 13. I believe this is the first Conan cover that's not by Barry Smith. So Gil Kane, Conan 13. A pretty great Conan image. I mean, Conan's fighting a bunch of whoever's, it doesn't matter. Just hacking away at other invading hordes. Kane made a lot of sense to be Kane was basically the fill-in artist for the first, couple years on Conan, and that made all the sense in the world. He drew a pretty great Conan. We have another Gil Kane Conan piece that'll be up in a few minutes. But yeah, this is great. And to see any pre-issue 20 Conan cover, they just don't come around all that often. And then the first one that's not by Barry Smith, I think there's something to be said for that too.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. You got a question? Jason's
I want to answer Jason's question. If that's for single pieces.
Got it.
If anybody wants to bid on anything that they think will go over 25 grand, or something that is already over 25 grand, you can call the office. You can email me. Shouldn't be a problem. It's just it's just standard practice for most auction houses over a certain amount of money.
And how does that work, Micah? Do you actually make a flag on their account so they can place a bid? Or are they literally not able to place a bid over?
You can't. If you're not approved to bid over $25,000, the system won't let you.
And once they're approved, they can do it through the website.
They can bid at will.
Got it.
What we like to see is either it's somebody we're familiar with, or we just want to see history of sales in that neighborhood from other places. Right.
So once they're approved, they don't have to. It's not a per event auction flag.
Yeah, right. It's from that point on, it's in perpetuity.
Got it.
Good. Unless you don't pay for something, and then we take that away.
Jason's going to email you. I guess he's got his eye on something.
Oh,
interesting.
There's some good things in this auction that should go over 25 grand.
For
example, well, this next one is already over. What is this? Hulk 154 by Herb Trimpe. For a guy who drew the Hulk as long as Herb Trimpe drew the Hulk, these covers do not come up for sale. I wasn't able to find a public sale of a Trimpe Hulk cover. I think the last one I found was 2015. So that they're incredibly desirable. The people who have them don't sell them. There's a couple of collectors who have quantity of them, which is part of why they don't come up for sale. But this is a great one, inked by John Severin, who's from one of my favorite Trimpe inkers. It's got Ant-Man on it. So it's not a giant rat. It's a tiny Hulk. So it's a normal sized rat. The Hulk is just very small. With Ant-Man, that makes sense.
No, it's an awesome cover. I remember this.
Yeah, one. It's great. And because it's not really clear from the image. So the title is the original stat. The Ant-Man figure was drawn over the stat. So there's Ant-Man below the stat, and then the back of the I guess it's a wasp, and the wings and the stuff over here is drawn over the stat. So it's art on the stat. No copies, no art stat. Just the title.
Right.
I think it's great. I like it a lot.
No, I agree. It's fantastic.
And
154.
We'll see what it does. What's it at now? 30 something?
What are we at? 34.
35.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
There are some Hulk Trimpe fans out there that I know of.
Sure.
Several. So yeah, I'm sure you'll see a lot of interest.
I mean, Trimpe drew the Hulk for more than 5 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's art you just don't see. It's interesting. It's interesting what you see a lot of and what you don't see at all. Maybe some things just stay in collections. People don't, you know, they don't trade hands all that often. People like having them.
No, that's
Speaking of things that don't trade hands often. If you want to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
This is Captain America #3, Steve Epting. These covers never come up for sale. Never. So Epting sold a handful of them when the book was being produced, so 2005-ish. And then as the book got more popular, he decided to keep the covers. So a lot of the covers he still has. And that's part of why you don't see them. And again, there's also a handful of collectors who have several.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first one I've ever seen in person. And yeah, issue 3. So it's right smack in the middle of the Winter Soldier story. You get Cap and Sharon Carter fighting a bunch of Hydra goons. I mean, Cap fighting Hydra goons. I mean, that's what Captain America does. Beautifully drawn. I love Steve Epting. I really love this run. I will admit that I'm not a huge Captain America guy, but I really like this particular run on Captain America. I think Epting's art fit the story perfectly. I do like Ed Brubaker. It's not a coincidence that you know, that I got a Sean Phillips drawing in Como, but really wonderful. And honestly, if I had to put a price on this, if this was just for sale, I wouldn't even know where to start because they don't come up for sale. So,
yeah, I can't say that I've seen any on the market.
I'm curious to see where it ends up.
Long time. Alberto, you're curious too. We know we'll keep it on the down low for you as best we can.
There's some interior pages too for the people who miss out on the cover. We'll get to those in a little bit. Next, the more Gil Kane Conan. This is the splash page to Conan 18. So Conan escorting Queen Ala back to her throne. A great dense Conan splash by Kane. Just yeah, again, you know, go over why Kane is great, but just yeah, great Kane Conan title splash. It's cool. Kane pencils and inks, which is nice, and not inked with a magic marker, which is also nice for Kane.
Right.
Yeah, 1972. Yeah, for Conan, you know, fans, I think interior splashes that this early, you know, you don't see them. It's a good one. You know, I'm pleased to see it doing well in the auction. It's a nice piece. I love that title. The title along the top, the Conan the Barbarian title on the top is real nice.
Right, now that's a stat, right? But then the lettering.
Oh yeah, the original. The
lettering underneath that, the thing in the temple, is that's on the
that's hand lettering pasted down.
Got it.
So it's not it's paste up, but it's hand lettered.
Right. No, that's beautiful.
Yep. Next, Jack Kirby. Kirby Mr. Miracle. Some of my favorite Jack Kirby. Kirby Mr. Miracle. Yeah, Mr. Miracle tied up on train tracks about to get run over by a train. I think that's as quintessentially Mr. Miracle as you can be.
Yeah, agreed.
And yeah, we assume he gets out of it because he is the world's greatest escape artist. Yeah, this is great. Conan, this is Mr. Miracle number 13, signed by Kirby, signed by Mike Royer. Yeah, just a great Mr. Miracle image. I think even Jim Steranko would be proud of this, seeing as how he was the inspiration for Mr. Miracle.
Exactly. No, this is, yeah, it's great. Fantastic.
Everybody knows Jim Steranko is, in fact, in reality, the world's greatest escape artist.
And it's 50 years old, too, from 1973. Wow.
Don't tell me things like that, Bill.
March and April 1973, man. But no, it's fantastic. Absolutely beautiful piece here.
Yeah, no, I was thrilled when that piece came in. That's something I hope to have one day as a Kirby Mr. Miracle on my list.
Well, Mr. Redjack says if it was a New York train, he would have plenty of time because they're always late.
This is true. This is true. I'm on them every day. All right, next, Todd McFarlane. Amazing Spider-Man 325. So Spider-Man and the Red Skull, who I think only appeared in the one issue by McFarlane and only on a few pages. So not a lot of McFarlane Red Skull art out there. Got a great big Spidey image here, nice crouched Spidey here. Yeah, I mean, and we all know what these pages are and how desirable they are. What I like about this page, and not specifically this page, but in general, but this page fits it, is that this page has not been for sale since it was bought from McFarlane in 1990. So it was drawn in 1990, sold in 1990. It's never been for sale again until now.
Well, everybody likes that new to market feel.
Yeah, I just like that. I like art that hasn't moved around a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I think there is something to be said for that. And especially a page as good as this one. I mean, it's a nice page. I love the Red Skull face. I do. McFarlane draws a very interesting Red Skull.
Yeah, no, it is a great page, and you know, you've got the classic McFarlane vertical panel layout. I mean, so if you're looking for a great example of McFarlane art, this is it. So yeah,
and at least as of right now, it's not, you know, tied into a collection with other McFarlane art that'll never be for sale again, like so many of the pages.
Yes, well, it's just under 10,000 right now.
Yeah, I expect that to move.
It will move.
Oh, no, Watchmen. This is the first Watchmen page we've had since I've been here, which is cool. It's always nice to see Watchmen pages. And what I like about Watchmen, or one of the things I like about Watchmen, is that because Alan Moore is smart, even the pages that aren't dramatically exciting have great content. So you have what is ostensibly just a bunch of people talking, but what they're talking about is important. And it's, you know, it's basically, so it's Silk Spectre and the original Silk Spectre and the original Night Owl and a couple other of the original Minutemen all having a gathering. And so the original Silk Spectre is talking about her daughter and about her daughter's origin, which is she's trying to keep from her at this point in the story. So it's a really interesting page content-wise with, you know, some of the larger, you know, overarching themes of the story. Mm-hmm. And Gibbons's art on Watchmen doesn't need to be talked about. I mean, it's perfect. Yeah, and just great character drawing, great, you know, character acting, which I think a lot of people take for granted in comics. It's more difficult than drawing people punching each other, you know, drawing people having normal interactions.
No,
yeah,
I love
it's cool. I just, you know, it's one of those things where it's always exciting to see a Watchmen page in person. And being auctioned along with it is the color guide, separately, not together, but separately. But so John Higgins' original color guide to that page, which is, you know, it's interesting to see old color guides. I think part of the reason why they've gained popularity in the last few years is because that it's basically obsolete technology. It's like nobody does this anymore. There's no reason to. So you get, you know, the hand-colored color with all the weird color codes. And, you know, since computers took that over now, 30 years ago, nobody does this. And so it's, you know, and it's nice to have it from a book like Watchmen and corresponding with the actual page that it's the color guide to.
No, it's really nice. So it is a separate lot, though.
Separate, yeah, auctioned separately,
okay.
But in the same auction. And next, what do we got next? John Romita Jr., Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man 233, 1982. Spidey fighting the tarantula for, what is that, 6 panels. A lot of bouncing around with Spidey and the Tarantula. But I love this period of John Romita Jr. I think so he had probably been drawing comics for 5 or 6 years at this point, but I think this is when he starts to really come into his own. And really interesting layout, good action, well staged, and inked by Jim Mooney, which is fine by me. Jim Mooney was a good Spider-Man artist. So yeah, a lot of nice drawing here. Great Spidey tarantula image down at the bottom. Even this figure of Spidey from the back, really, even here looks like modern Romita Jr. The way he drew Spider-Man here, the body type and the way the positioning, really similar to how he still draws, which is nice to see.
No, it's a great page. I mean, that
not a lot of artists have evolved their style as much as John Romita Jr., but it's nice to see little identifying characteristics.
Signed by
Shooter, and very old John Romita Jr. signature down there at the bottom.
Yeah, that is not how he signed it. No, Shooter's looks the same as today. So
yeah.
But no, that's sweet, really nice. What's it at? That's at $7,100. Yeah, that's got a lot of room to go too.
Yeah,
great piece.
Oh, next, we've talked about these pages before, and they never cease to impress. The John Buscema Silver Surfer Judgment Day, the graphic novel of all splash pages, all John Buscema splash pages. So I've yet to see one that's not great. This one, just a huge Galactus and Nova. Yeah, I mean, John Buscema, it's hard to, not a lot needs to be said about John Buscema. He is who he is for a reason. And the man could draw Galactus.
Yeah, man, that's a really, really great piece.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with this one.
Sure. I don't see any reason not to be. And even Nova looks great. Like it's a really, I love the Kirby machinery in the background. For 1988, Buscema was probably 60, give or take, when he drew that. And it's still great. Inking himself. I think he had inking assist on the backgrounds, but all the main figures he inked himself. And really, really, yeah, just a beautiful book.
Yeah, it'd be weird if he didn't try to draw Kirby machinery behind Galactus. I mean, his costume is just so Kirby. You got to follow. You got to keep the environment in line.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's my main hope for the Fantastic Four movie when they finally make it, is that there's Kirby machinery in it. Because it would be weird if there wasn't.
Yeah, no, yeah, I completely agree. And hopefully we'll get to see Galactus at some point rather than a big old.
I don't know. You're not a big fan of the swarm of whatever that he was.
Right. Yes. I don't even. It was a disappointment. Really ran out of money at the end of that movie. But yeah, this is it's gorgeous. Really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No.
Well,
yeah. Sometimes, getting to do this for a living has its privileges, and getting to hang out with all this art is one of those privileges.
That's true. What do we got next?
Sam Keith.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking to somebody about these pages last week. I mean, I was talking about this page, but about Sam Keith in general, and kind of where his pricing has been recently, and these pages are huge. His covers, his interiors, very desirable. And I because I've been around for a few years, even when these pages were new, they were more expensive than their equivalent pages from other titles. They were always been desirable. And I mean, they weren't what they cost now, but they were always more desirable and more expensive than other pages that are, you could say equally good or good for different reasons, or what doesn't matter. It's just like they were always in demand, in huge demand, because there's are very few artists who drew comics like this, who had as unique and distinctive a style as Sam Keith. And this page has a lot of really good content. So it's Wolverine and Venom in Nightmare's realm. So up at the top, you have a vision of Mariko, who dissolves away in the second panel. So you got a nice little callback to for Wolverine here. And then you get Nightmare down at the bottom, where Sam Keith is very, very heavily leaning into his Frazetta influence, basically drawing the Nightmare as the Death Dealer, which is awesome. We've talked before about how, some artists' work is just instantly recognizable. You're never going to look at this page and say, oh yeah, who drew that? And I think that's what separates great artists from good artists, is that, being instantly recognizable as their work.
Yeah, no, it's a gorgeous page. And like you said, Keith's art was always very pricey, even right after it came out. I mean, there's probably a lot of factors from it. I mean, number one, just being his incredible style and sense of page layout. And when he was drawing on those oversized boards, I mean, that imagery just blew you away when you saw his artwork at that scale. And I think that you started seeing art, comic art in a different light when you saw his work. I mean, it felt different. But he's drawing Wolverine, right? A character that everybody can relate to, understands, and you have this amazing talent working.
For sure. Yeah. I bought a lot of Wolverine comics that I definitely wouldn't have bought otherwise because Sam Keith drew them.
Right. Wow. No, this is gorgeous. Really, really nice.
What did we skip any of the larger pieces? What's
the next one on the list on the site is the Stephen Platt Moon Knight.
Okay. Did we?
Is that what you got?
It's probably. I'm just making sure. I have some of the pieces are big and they're not in the same pile as the pieces that are small. So, all right. So we are okay. So I actually talked to somebody about this page on the phone today because it's an interesting page. It's peculiar. So Stephen Platt, Moon Knight, but this page is unpublished. So this was Stephen Platt basically trying to get the job drawing Moon Knight from Marvel. And so he put together what I imagine was a series of pages, because this is marked page 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be surprised if there's a better page from the published run, because he just threw in everything to make this page as cool as possible. So you got big Moon Knight, little close-up panel, big action, big Moon Knight kicking a guy, more action. It's jam-packed. Moon Knight's all over it. It's Steve Platt saying, like, give me the book and this is what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and I don't think anybody regrets it. So really just showing off, and that I think makes for maybe a more interesting piece of art than if he's working with a writer and telling a story and having to there's no quiet moments on this page. There's no we got to chat between fight scenes and set up some stories. Like no, we're just gonna show you Moon Knight and then he's gonna beat some people up. And just that pure Platt all over it.
What did Platt work on before taking this over?
That's an excellent question that I wasn't prepared for.
I'm sorry, because I'm trying my brain trying to think, what was he working on before that book?
I don't know.
Probably knows. Marcus, come on, tell us. You always have the answers out there. But yeah, like Sam Keith before. I mean, his style, it has always been unmistakable.
I know what Sam Keith did before. I don't know what Stephen Platt did before.
Marcus says he was in school. I don't know is that the right answer, Marcus? He was in school.
Yeah, there's no way Moon Knight was his first job.
I thought there was something.
If it is, then I'm more impressed.
Right.
Because speaking of Sam Keith's early work is not as accomplished. It's not bad. It's interesting. But you don't look at that and say, this guy's going to be amazing. I don't like artists who come out of the gate fantastic. It's just, it makes, I think, you got to be bad at the beginning.
Right.
So that I remember, say, look, see, anybody can do this.
I don't remember who it was. I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing an interview with some artist, and they talked about running into Stephen Platt while he was still in school and seeing his portfolio at a Comic-Con and just being like, holy crap, this guy is unbelievable. Why is he, as young as he is, why is he not drawing comics? So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I thought he had something that he worked on prior to Moon Knight too. But
well, we'll get to a drawing in a little bit that Joe Jusko did when he was like 17 years old, which is annoying. It's annoying.
Dave Kopecki says Platt did at MCP Presents Moon Knight story that went unpublished, and they gave him the title. It was his first published work. Well, okay, there you go.
I wonder if that's what this is then. That's, that. So, okay, that might be what this is from. So at the top here on the page, if you look at so you can see it on the screen there, where it says M:Moon Knight.
Yeah.
The next to the M is whiteout. So that very well could say MCP:Moon Knight.
Yeah, you are probably right. Interesting.
So that was his first. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by Stephen Platt. You learn something new every day.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Marcus. You guys are spot on.
I will adjust that in the description tomorrow.
We know more about it now. That's great.
Right. Eric Larson's Amazing Spider-Man. Another 4-panel vertical Spider-Man page. So yeah, this is relatively early in Larson's run on Spider-Man. I think 7, 8 issues in, something like that. And I think a lot of people know the story about these pages and why they're so hard to find.
Yes.
Lots of them were lost in a fire at Eric Larson's house, unfortunately. So yeah, you don't see pages from this time period from Larson very often. I've always been a fan. I've been a fan of Eric Larson since long before he drew Spider-Man. I always thought his style was really interesting and unique. I remember reading Batman and the Outsiders by him and Doom Patrol. And I always thought his work was really unique and fun. And his Savage Dragon was proof of that. I mean, Savage Dragon, one of the most just purely fun comics I think that anybody's ever made. He took, the beauty of what those guys did at Image at the beginning was basically to say, look, I'm going to go make the kind of comics I want to read. And Eric Larson has now been doing that for 30 years. And, good for him. It's the dream, the artist's dream, being able to do the comics that you want to read and have other people also want to read them.
Yeah, well, I always liked his Spidey. I mean, there's something about the way he did the webbing. I mean, everything, it's distinctly Larson, carried over really well.
And he had to follow McFarlane, which I can't imagine a much more difficult thing to have to do than be the guy who follows Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
While McFarlane is off doing his own other Spider-Man book.
Yeah, well, this is great. I mean, like you said, these are very, very rare, unfortunately, to see.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice page, and interesting that he's carrying over the McFarlane panel concept to kind of keep that continuity in style in the book and everything. But it makes perfect sense.
Was it still David Michelini writing Spider-Man at that point? I don't know.
I am not sure. I know that somebody in the audience will know. But no, that's a great page. Definitely.
Yeah, it's cool.
Definitely nice. Wow.
It's the first Larson Spider-Man page I think I've ever had the opportunity to either sell or auction. You just don't see them. I've seen Larson pieces, but not Amazing Spider-Man pages. That's for sure.
There's not a lot in CAF. I know that.
Yeah. Now more Moon Knight. This is a really good cover. This is salvoluto. This is the cover to Moon Knight, Mark Spector Moon Knight #9. Just a really, really well drawn, dynamic cover. Moon Knight and Punisher. 1989. So this is right around. So it's that Punisher drawn very much in that sort of Punisher War Journal style. That a lot of straps and buckles and like military gear. So like it's the Jim Lee effect on Punisher, but just a really, really well drawn Moon Knight. Like I'm impressed by this cover, inked by Scott Williams. So it's more Jim Lee connection there. This 89 would be maybe before Scott Williams and Jim Lee hooked up, maybe right around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked this cover when I saw it in person. It's,
I've always liked Velluto's work, honestly.
Yeah, I think I need to look at more of it. I don't know that I've ever paid that much attention, but I think this is making me think that I should revisit him.
Yeah, it's funny. We don't talk about him too often on the channel, but
no.
He's always had a really distinctive style. And no, this is a fantastic cover.
And I think and I definitely bought this comic because this is part of the Acts of Vengeance crossover series, and I definitely bought that because I would have been 15 when this comic came out. Yeah, it's impressive. It makes me want to read Moon Knight comics, which is what a cover is supposed to do. Yeah, and I'm pleased at where it's at. I think I expect it to go up from where it's at price wise, but it's nice to see that it's getting some bids and getting some attention. It's a nice piece.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have a very nice selection of art this time around. I went through it earlier today, and no, it's just nice to see. You guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And some stuff like the Larson and like that Velluto cover stuff you don't see. A lot of auctions from all the auction houses. You see the same artists and the same titles over and over again. And it's nice to see things that are different. Like this Submariner splash by Rich Butler, Submariner Dr. Doom. It's a classic supervillain team up, but from 1989 instead of 1974. But we got the classic 70s outfit on Submariner, Dr. Doom. It's a really they're nice dynamic. Sorry, I keep leaning the wrong way because my camera's reversed. There's like dynamic splash page for Butler. Bob McLeod inks. And there's just a really excellent like late 80s Marvel splash. Nice, got a nice title on it. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, a lot of people like the disco costume for Subby.
They do. I mean, it's more practical, especially not in water. But it's charming. I'll say that. And Dr. Doom never changes. Nobody should ever redesign Dr. Doom's costume. I think that's the day I stop reading comics.
Right. No, that's very nice. Buckler's somebody who's been on my short list for a while to get an example from too. He's he's just one of those artists that from the books that I read that you saw his name all the time. He drew so many different titles, and I have yet to own a piece of art that
he was reliable and he could draw anything.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys have long careers. Is this something that, a lot of artists, can get a little like, it's like, well, I can only draw 6 books a year or whatever. It's like, well, the guys who can draw a book a month who get to hit their deadlines, their careers are long. Because there's always jobs that need to be done. And though they get the call because they know that the editors know that they'll get the job done.
Very true.
In a professional way. Butler was good. And for over 30 years, something like that.
He had a very long career.
Yeah.
And you have McLeod Inks here, another guy who, he's still a popular convention guy. So this is fantastic.
Next we have what might be my personal favorite piece in the auction.
All right, surprise me. What is it?
So it's Mike Plug, Werewolf by Night #5. And what makes this more special than a lot of Mike Plug pages is that it's pencils and inks by Plug. So he did not do that very often. Only the one issue of Werewolf by Night. So he drew Werewolf by Night for over, 15 issues, maybe more. And this is the only one he inked himself. And seeing this in person made me realize how much he added to his work when he inked it. Because when you see, and we have a piece coming up, when you see Plug inked by somebody else, the art can come across as a little bit loose. And it's easy to blame the inker for that, but I don't think that's the case. I think Plug's pencils were loose.
Mm-hmm.
And that when he went in with the ink is when he added all the beautiful detail. And every panel on this page is a piece of art. One, it's just a great Werewolf by Night page. It's just action in every panel, pretty much. Werewolf in every panel. Basically like just tearing a guy apart. Great close up down at the bottom. It's artistically beautiful and also great content. So it's like a perfect storm of Mike Plug, who's always been an artist that I've admired, but like you don't see his work very often, and you see pages inked by him even less often. And from what I gather, it's because he still has a lot of his own art. So he had never sold a ton of it. So most of what you see out there is not inked by him because he didn't sell a lot of pages that he inked. So yeah, this is an unusual opportunity. And yeah, just again, maybe my favorite piece of art in the whole auction. It's just great. I didn't realize how much my collection was missing a Plug. I have a little sketch, but that doesn't count. But now I think I need a published Plug, which is not going to be cheap.
Right.
But,
no, this is great. And then, but like you say, I mean, it's sometimes an inker, they don't really have the full understanding of maybe what the penciler was thinking, and if his pencil.
Well, it's hard to know. You can only go by what you're given.
Exactly. I mean, back in the day, I mean, John Buscema, like when he did a lot of those Conan pieces, they were always, but his inkers had worked with him,
right.
and had a good feel for what he wanted, and and they could work well together. But Plug maybe didn't have that same kind of luxury. But yeah, this is a pretty striking page.
Yeah, and Plug actually did a lot of work in the movies. He did, Wizards. He did a lot of storyboards. Mm-hmm. You can get that stuff, and it's still cool. He did a lot. He worked on Disney. Like designs for Disney. The drawing I have by him is actually just a little drawing of the Hunchback from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He designed a lot of the characters in that.
Oh, cool.
He had a long career in film and in animation. He did the storyboards for John Carpenter's The Thing.
Those are all nice.
Which explains a lot.
It does. I've always, honestly, I've always wanted to get one of those storyboard images because they're not really super expensive. And I mean, come on, it's like the one of the best horror movies ever made. I mean, probably the best remake of any horror movie ever made. And anyway,
I'd have to give that some thought, but it's definitely in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But you're right. I mean, I'm sure his influence really helped Carpenter, realize the vision of that damn movie.
Yeah.
I could watch that movie over and over again.
I have watched that movie over and over again. I wonder if maybe because his comic book output is relatively small because he worked in film for so long, he's not one of those guys who gets that like top tier name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alex Toth is like that too. His animation work is more well known than Plug's movie work, but he's another guy whose comic book output is not huge, and and I think that Plug, he was always a guy who I was interested in because he drew interesting things. Like the comics he did draw were really interesting. A lot of the the 70s Marvel horror, like Werewolf by Night.
Right.
And then, I remember even like his weird Santa Claus book it was like 1990. I was like, but it was beautiful. Beautiful book about Santa Claus.
Yeah, I was a big Marvel horror fan, so Plug was always, somebody whose work I'd always admired.
Yeah. He drew the first Ghost Rider story. I mean, he was a maiden guy at that time at Marvel. All right, what's next?
I think we've got a Wally Wood.
Oh, the Wally Wood. maybe my second favorite piece in the auction. I might actually like this page more than the Blue.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look at the detailed image of this thing, but yeah, it's fantastic. Wow.
So this is from Weird Science number 21. This is from a story called EC Confidential. In the story EC Confidential, I'll give a little synopsis because it's fascinating. So a fictional publisher of EC Comics finds out and is sort of dismayed by the realization that the creators of EC Comics are telling stories that are coming true. So like the actual comics that EC had made, there are actual EC comics featured in the story that like, oh, these aliens, they do a story about aliens and then the aliens come or whatever. And he's freaking out about it. And like, in a panic, and he's like talking to, Al Gaines or Al Feldstein and Bill Gaines, and who are characters in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so on this page, which is, I think, without question, the best page of the whole story, the aliens appear in the offices of EC Comics and kill everybody. So that's Feldstein up at the top. Maurice Everin, Joe Orlando, Wally Wood, Jack Davis. That's Jack Kamen. And over here, he's got the same bunch, but added Al Williamson over here. Then the aliens appear. There's Bill Gaines. And these aliens who, I don't know. I mean, Wally Wood could draw aliens. I don't know that you could find a more Wally Woody aliens than these. They're perfect. And they come, the aliens show up. They say, "Is this EC?" He says, "We have come to destroy you. Your stories have become harmful to us." And then they disintegrate the staff of EC Comics. It's perfect. And meta even for EC.
Right.
You do find out later that these are all replicas of the EC staff, and they are actually also aliens who were telling the stories to warn people about the hostile aliens because EC Comics. But beautiful drawing. You got a bunch of different techniques. You got two craft tint panels. You've got, so these two panels are both patched in. Mm-hmm. This panel is also patched in. It was drawn on a pebble board, so you get the texture for those little like pencil tones that Wood wanted. Like a lot of really beautiful drawing. Wood really put his effort into this. I think he understood that the story was special, and I defy you to find me a more interesting Wally Wood EC panel page. If there are covers and there are slashes, and they are what they are, but as far as panel pages go, I think this is as good as it gets for Wally Wood. Just marvelous, and the likenesses of his co-workers. I think that's great. I like that he put himself front and center, so first one to get killed. Mm-hmm. Even in this panel here with Gaines, that's Wood. So he appears more than anybody else. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
If anybody out there wants to buy this and give it to me as a gift, I would be eternally grateful.
That's the one that you want. If anybody's
or the Flug, I would take, or the Flug, or the Epting cover. There's lots of things that I was thinking this function.
Have you owned EC pages, Micah?
What's that?
Have you owned any EC pages?
I have never owned an EC page, and it bothers me. It's something that's actually been bothering me for like 15 years. And
yeah, because I feel like Eater always had like one or two at his table.
He had some, and he had a couple that I probably, in retrospect, should have bought back when Jack Davis pages when they were relatively affordable. Wood has always been one of the harder to get from a value standpoint, EC guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the only Wood art I own is one panel, one of the insert panels from the Sky Masters comic of it's Wood inking Kirby, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, a dream of mine is to own a Sky
There's
Master
just one panel. It's not even a whole Sky Masters. It's what they insert panels for the Sunday strips. It was my only Kirby and my only Wood for a long time. Now it is no longer my only Kirby, but it is still my only Wood. I have his signature on a few things, but nothing by him. I have art by a bunch of EC artists, but not from EC books.
Mm-hmm.
Someday, it's been on my list for a long time, and I'm maybe too particular, but I want a good one. Jack Davis, or I'd love an Elder. These things, they're around.
Elder's been on my list too for a long time.
Yeah.
I've yet to find the right piece, but yeah, I'd love to get something by him.
Yeah. The days of the like $1,500 Jack Davis EC pages may have come and gone, and I waited too long.
I know, but they felt expensive back then, but now they seem like a bargain now.
I remember the first convention I ever went to where I had what I thought was a decent amount of money to spend, where I was like, I wanted to spend $1,000 on one thing, which I had never done before. This is probably 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at EC pages at that show, and there were some there, but I felt like that this page for $1,000 is more like a $700 page, or this page that I would pay $1,000 for is $1,500. So it's a lot of just missed opportunity. There was a Bernie Kriegstein page at that show for $200, and I probably should have bought it.
Mm-hmm. But
it was from piracy, and in retrospect, I should have still just bought it. What are you going to do?
If we could only travel back in time, Micah, we would do so many things differently.
Yeah, I think we all think about that more than is healthy.
Oh yeah, but I do remember, I for whatever reason, I mean, Eater's booth, since it was always like across from me, I just remember the stuff on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you in the booth, but I always remember the stuff on the wall, and it always impressed me. But it was just like there was just so much stuff that you could chase at that moment in time that was affordable.
And we have a few EC pieces in the auction. There's a an early EC Graham Ingalls Western page.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Johnny Craig Gunfighter cover, which is awesome. I keep turning it the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, Johnny Craig is another guy who I would love a Johnny Craig. I think he's maybe one of the sort of like lesser appreciated EC guys who did so much of their really, really iconic work, all the horror covers, and just like, the probably the most like iconic EC covers are, some of those Craig, Vault of Horror Tales from the Crypt covers.
Yeah, very true.
The hanging cover, the broken neck cover, some beautiful stuff. And this is great. We got a woman in peril in a Western cover from probably 1951 or 50 or 51. It's cool, and it's beautifully framed already, hence it hanging behind me.
Well, yeah, that's gorgeous. Yeah, Marcus mentions the old Russ Cochran auctions as well. I mean, I've got like,
and I know people who know me know not to talk about $500 Boland Animal Man covers.
Let's see. What did Antoine say? There was a run of Ball and Animal, and let's see, tried covers for that. I should have bought. Yeah. My friend has one. My friend picked up an Animal Man, Bolland, and he actually has a Sam Keith MCP cover that he bought. Because he just had the eye, and he still has them to this day. But he bought them. My friend Chris. He was when we were doing CAF together. Those were the pieces that he really, he was really most interested in, and he was smart. He picked up some great stuff.
In my defense, $500 at that time would have been a huge amount of money for me to spend.
Mm-hmm.
But I won really like Animal Man. The first page of art I ever bought was a page from Animal Man.
Wow.
It's awful, but I love it, and I'll never sell it. And I remember when those covers were available, Scott Dunbier, back when Scott Dunbier sold art. And he had the cover to not my favorite issue, but my favorite Boland Animal Man cover, which is issue 20. nobody else's favorite Bowen cover, just mine, because it's weird. And he had it, and I didn't have the money, and I went back to the next show with the money, and it was sold to Jim Lee. And then 10 years later, I almost got it again in a trade because Jim Lee had since sold it. And that trade didn't work out either. And I'm still bitter about it. It's nobody else's favorite Animal Man cover. It's literally Animal Man on the floor of a bathroom curled up next to the toilet. Nobody else cares about that cover as much as I do.
Oh, man. Yeah, the cover that my friend has the one where he's like riding on a mite or something.
Oh, okay.
You know, where the insects are just like the detail on them is just mind blowing. So just crazy.
I have a prelim. I have a Bowen Animal Man cover prelim, which probably also cost me $500, and I've had that for 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
But
well, like 2000 now, you can still get a ball and prelim.
Yeah, and it's a prelim from a Morrison issue, which was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really nice one. It's a Buona Beast cover. Buona Beast riding like a weird amalgam creature. It's really tight for a Bowen prelim. I'm happy to have it. I'm thrilled, but it's still not a published cover, and it annoys me.
I know that feeling.
Anyway, let's move on. We still have a lot to get to, and we've already been doing this for an hour.
Yes, we have. Well, we've got a Mignola here next.
Speaking of artists whose work I should have bought 20 years ago, Mike Mignola. This is the cover to Witchfinder and the Service of Angels #5. So it's one of the Hellboy spin-off titles. But speaking of, again, artists whose work will never be mistaken for another artist, Mike Mignola. And yeah, things I should have bought 20 years ago. But I have a few pieces. It's not the same as, some of the other stories, but I don't know that there's anybody who designs a cover better than Mignola, from just a stark black and white perspective, compositionally. They stand out, which is, it's more difficult than you think. Like spotting blacks the way Mignola does is so much harder than he makes it look.
Well,
which one of the signs of a great artist is doing things that are incredibly difficult and making them look easy. We talked about that when we talked to Sean Murphy. It's like Sean Murphy is able to draw things that are so complicated and make it look effortless. And Mignola does that with composition. It's incredibly difficult to compose covers the way he does, or images in general, but covers especially. Yeah, beautiful drawing. Probably one of my favorite comic book artists of all time.
So let's see, this was Witchfinder in the Service of Angels.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the title, but
Witchfinder series, but it's 2009. It's actually a relatively old cover.
Yeah. No, not bad.
I don't like to think about 2009 as a long time ago, but that's a whole other thing.
And Antoine, when I interviewed Brian about a year ago, I actually asked him how to pronounce his last name, and he said it rhymes with Holland. So that's why I say Bolland. So I don't think he would lie to me. So no, I have gotten a few last names wrong in the past, but that one I wanted to make sure I didn't screw up.
I said David Michelini earlier. I have no idea if that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, what do we got next here?
Next is the Mike Blue complete story that I don't have in front of me, so you have.
Yeah. Here, let me. I can show that one off. Let's see. Swing it over to.
Oh yeah, it's what is it? I think it is. Bear with me here for a second. 9 pages from Police Action. That's one of the Atlas Seaboard titles from the 70s. And I don't want to take anything away from this story because it's still really cool and it's still identifiably Plug, but the art is different. And this is the kind of more of the Plug style that I was familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which still it's got those very Plug faces. It's very identifiably Plug, but the art is looser and I think that's all in the pencils. I don't think that's Frank Springer, who's a perfectly capable inker. I don't think he's doing substandard work. I think he's inking the pencils that he was given. And it's still beautiful. And look at those faces. Those are Plug faces. It's great. And a complete story from Plug. I mean, we talked earlier about how rare Plug's art is, and to get a complete story is special.
Yeah, what was the title again? Police
Action.
Police Action.
What's it? Bruce Malone, Manhunter. Luke Malone.
Luke Malone, even better than Bruce.
Manhunter.
Rock and
Robbery. Oh, what year is this? Like 1974, 73?
75. Wow.
75. It's like Starsky and Hutch right there in 9 pages.
It is. No, that's cool though. I mean, and so you got a story in there as well. It's a 28.
Very cool. It's still great drawing. I don't want to make it seem like I think this is lesser Plug. Mm-hmm. It's still great. But that World on 8 pages is special. But I would be happy with this too. I mean, I think I think it might have been in the second group of pages.
Let's see. Through here.
There was like a close-up shot in one of the panels. It was just really, really nice. Yeah, I think it might have been in the second.
In the second set, yeah. I don't know if I can click over to it. How do I get over to the second?
Yeah,
set?
Click out and then our website is being relaunched in I want to say July, and we're gonna fix. Oh yeah, that one in the middle, right up at the top.
Right at the top.
Right.
Yeah,
it's great. We're relaunching our website in either July or early August. I'm not 100% sure what the date is, but I've seen sort of the working version of it, and it's fantastic.
Well, that's good. Hey, one request: just have them so it doesn't time us out. Or that where it makes it feel like you've been inactive for too long, and it moves you over to the homepage or something.
And it's not even a long time. It's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a short period. Because I'll bet you when we get to the end of these tabs, they're going to be timed out because we just sat too long. And it is what it is. Hey, programming.
I know. And at the end of the day, it works. But the new one is it answers a lot of the criticisms that we've heard and a lot of the suggestions that I've been making for a couple of years now. Are all being implemented, and it'll make the whole experience more pleasant.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. There's a couple of pieces where I'm going out of order a little bit just because they're the same, same artist, same. So I've got a couple of Alex Savick SpiderMan pages. This one is great. It's beautiful, huge half splash panel, swinging Spidey. This is the Web of Spider-Man number 69. Just a great, Peter Parker putting on the Spidey suit, swinging into action. Just classic Spider-Man. And then another page from the same issue where Spider-Man just fighting the Hulk for 5 panels. Just a little back and forth smashy smash. You want to close up on? Give me the screen here to look at this other one.
Yeah, I'll swing over to here for you. There we go.
Yeah. So Spider-Man fighting the Hulk. Well, Hulk smash Spider-Man. Spider-Man shoot Hulk in the face with webbing. Just a lot of good action. This is the first page is from sort of the midpoint of the story. The second page is from the big fight at the end. But just a great Spider-Man and Hulk action page. Really, really nice. All right. I'm going to move a little bit quicker now because we spent an hour and there's still a lot to go.
We can do this, Micah.
I know. Hey, in previous shows, we'd be done.
Yeah, and I had all those tabs open and they are all timed out. So I'm letting you song and dance a little bit here while I get.
Okay. Then you just hit the button in the page and it'll bring you back to it. But I'm not saying it's not annoying. So next, this Hagar the Horrible Sunday. This is 1973. So early Hagar the Horribles are drawn gigantic. I think he only drew them this big for the first 8 months or so. And for Hagar the Horribles from the first year, Sundays especially, Very rare. So there is only one known older Sunday than this one. So, and this is, so this is like 5 months or so into the strip, and only one earlier Sunday is known to exist. And I think kind of what it's doing in the auction already is a testament to that. People understand that these early ones are rare, and not only are they rare, but the fact that they're larger than the later ones, I think makes them more interesting and more desirable. And I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so Hagar the Horrible is, I mean, I've been reading Hagar the Horrible longer than I've been reading Thor for guys with pointy hats.
To this day, I'm still looking for a Hagar strip. I'd love to get one. It's just so memorable, right?
No, absolutely, and it's good. It's really good drawing, And this is actually a really nice one. It got a nice silhouette panel, peacock in it. It's good Hagar, like pantomime, and sort of physical humor. I always liked this comic. Even before I was aware of why or what I liked for any reason. But Hagar was always one of the strips I would never skip it over Hagar the Horrible in the newspaper, because the drawing is so inviting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's nice.
And that's about half as big as a Prince Valiant.
So yeah, there you go.
That's which makes it really huge. That's the thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the scarcity, it makes it interesting. It's like the story is part of what makes it interesting. And I honestly, I wasn't aware of the rarity of them before we got this one, and like learning about it has been interesting. Learning about the change of size, the after the first 10 months or a year or whatever, however long it was, they become sort of standard 11 by 17 pages for the Sundays. So this is impressive. It's like a peanut. It's not quite as big as a peanut Sunday, but it's pretty big.
That one's gorgeous.
Yep. And next, more John Romita Jr. SpiderMan The Lost Years, #3. Romita Jr. Jansen, which is probably my favorite Romita Jr. pairing. Jansen, Hannah, Al Williamson. Romita Jr.'s had his fair share of quality inkers, but something about especially this period of Romita Jr., the way Jansen inks this style of Romita Jr. just works exactly the way a pencil or inker team should work. And you got so the Spider-Man figure is drawn in white over the black background, which is cool, like a nice effect. Some of it it looks like it's pretty much all white ink over black. There's a few spots where it was just left white, but mostly white ink drawn over black, which is like a really nice effect over this image that's a traditionally drawn image down underneath it. Really nice work. 1995, Romita Jr. Jansen. Written by Mark DeMatteis, who's a name I've also never sure if I'm pronouncing properly. But
I can't help you with that one.
Is it DeMatteis?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds right to me.
Sure. My love of DeMatteis goes back to Justice League, his funny Justice League, and books like Blood and Craven's Last Hunt. It's like a versatile writer. One of the first writers I ever followed from book to book. Next, more Rich Butler.
Yep.
Butler, Black Suit Spidey, Black Cat. Some great. Again, the swinging Spider-Man is money. Black Suit Spider-Man is less money than it was a year ago, but still money. So two of these panels have a little bit of staining in them. I'll explain why that is. So when we got this page, these panels actually had white, they just had they're still here. These like white paste ups that were put in over the art. That was for printing, for photography purposes. These two panels in the story are printed in a different color. So they had to shoot the page twice. And so the second time they shot it, they had to cover up these images to get the black line image for the page. So I took the white paste ups off, but they are here because this is more interesting. But it's unfortunate that there's some staining from the glue that they used, but still really nice drawing. I think it was like Spider-Man was drugged a little bit. I think they were printed in blue, red. They were printed in red. It says right on the side. But a cool page, 1986. This is like, nice key prime black suit Spidey era. Nice work from Butler and McLeod again.
No, that's nice. And let me see. I think the next one is
Next one I don't have. So if you could pull that up, that's these pieces are very cool. So the art in this book was credited to Butler Jansen. It's maps, so I just got to go by the art credits. So this is the Jungle Action number 8 was the origin of Black Panther issue. And so in the back of the issue, there's the map of Wakanda, then the close-up map of central Wakanda, and then the second page is like sort of like a cutaway diagram of the palace. And this was the first time in the comics that Wakanda had ever been given a geography. And these maps were used when they made the movie. So if there's some behind-the-scenes featurettes for the first Black Panther movie where you can actually see these pages being used in production.
Huh.
So they actually kept the sort of idea of the original layout of Wakanda when they made the movies, and that all goes back to these 2 pages.
Well, that's pretty slick then.
And it's like, I'm a big fan of diagrams, and maps. So I think they're neat. If you want to pull up the second one also. So yeah, the cutaway of the palace.
Right.
Which is cool. They have a grand piano and a big statue of a panther. Because they should.
Exactly. Yeah, that's slick.
But like really interesting pieces and like historic because of the way they've continued to be relevant. And the consignor decided to keep them together because they go together, which I can't argue with.
Yeah, no, that's good of them to do that.
Yes, I agree. But I especially like that first page with the map. It's cool.
Does that Zipatone on there, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. No, I like it a lot.
Yeah. And next is another one I don't have, which I really wish I did. So this is early Star Wars newspaper strip appearance of Boba Fett. So this is like, what's the date on this? This is
1980.
So July 1980. So a couple months, 2 months or so after The Empire Strikes Back was in theaters, and still 3 or 4 months before Boba Fett appeared in the Marvel comic. An early appearance. This is one of the better Boba Fett appearances in the daily strip. Visually, it's got he's in all 3 panels, and or is he just in 2 panels? Either way, the second panel was just perfect Boba Fett image, and there's just not that many. He didn't appear in very many, and I think it's very, very cool to have Boba Fett in a comic before he appeared in the Marvel comic series. And the Sunday page that we had on our last auction, I think that the collectors, agreed. I think that the price on that Sunday was nice. The consignor was happy. It was, sometimes newspaper strips, especially with things that also have comic book counterparts, can get overshadowed. and honestly, you know, by this point in the Star Wars strip, Manning was starting to get a little bit, his health was declining. So it's this Manning inks over Rick Hoberg pencils, but still, it's very Manning, you know, the artwork. I think it's great. I think it's very cool. And I love Star Wars. And if, you know, who doesn't?
Exactly. And he is in every panel. So that makes it even better.
Yeah. So that's pretty nice. And then next, Ego the Living Planet. More Rich Butler again. This time inked by Joe Sinnott, which is awesome. This is from Thor number 227. So you got a half splash of Ego, who is declaring that he is in fact mad, and Thor and Hercules hurtling towards, I think that's Hercules, hurtling towards Ego. And it's nice to see Ego in Thor. He did first appear in Thor, so it makes sense. And yeah, just if I had to draw a living planet, I don't know that I could do it better than that.
No, it is a very memorable image of
yeah, no, for sure, and a really nice drawing of Thor, just like a very stoic Thor in the panel underneath.
Yeah, no, it's a nice page. I wouldn't mind owning it.
Yeah, and I even like the explosion panel. There's something, never overlook a good explosion panel. Jack Kirby was the king of the explosion panels.
Yeah, no, that's nice, man. That is really nice.
Yeah. Next is an Excalibur page I don't have in front of me.
All right.
Excalibur number 2, some Warwolves, the very memorable Warwolves. I haven't read an Excalibur comic in probably 30 years, and I remember this storyline of the early issues vividly. There's the idea of the weird creatures that inhabited people's skin. If you've never read early Excalibur, they are excellent comics.
I've only read the early ones. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah. Someone said I hadn't read Excalibur until about a year and a half ago, and when I mentioned that, Tatiana sent me a trade that had like the first 6 issues in it, so I could at least know what happened there. So yeah,
but it's yeah, the imagery in those early issues, especially of the creature, the werewolves coming out of people's skin, it sticks with you, especially when you're, I mean, this comic would have come out when I was like 14, in 1988, 89, something like that. Yeah, so that's, yeah, it's impressionable age, and, you know, some kind of horrific sort of, like David Cronenberg X-Men comic. And Alan Davis is great, you know, so, you know, it's also a really pretty drawing of something so horrific. Yeah.
That's really nice, and that's at 1,500 right now. So
yeah, which is
Paul,
you know,
yeah, Paul Neary inks, who great compliment to Davis's pencils. That's for sure.
Davis only really ever worked with 2 inkers, so he picked an inker and he stuck with him.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't.
You see an Alan Davis page, and the first question is it Paul Neary or is it Mark Farmer? Because it's one or the other.
Isn't that the truth? Now we got a Contest of Champions.
Contest of Champions, yeah. So this is John Romita Jr. again. This is Contest of Champions number 2. So the first ever comic book miniseries, and we've talked about this before because we've had contest pages in the past, but originally drawn to be a treasury, hence that's why it says Marvel Treasury Edition up the top. Drawn to be a treasury to tie in with the 1980 Summer Olympics that were held in Moscow, so hence no treasury, because no Americans in those Summer Olympics. So they changed the story a little bit, and it became, a couple years later, it became the Contest of Champions miniseries. This is a great page with Invisible Woman, Daredevil, Iron Fist. Yeah, just a lot going on. What's that? Star Fox, is that his name? A Storm. Black. I don't know who that is. But yeah, nice. Yeah, but nice drawing. Romita Jr., Pablo Marcos. So this would have been even earlier Romita Jr. So he would have drawn this in 1980. But instead, he got to draw the first ever comic book miniseries, and that set a precedent.
Well, I like this period of his work. So
I do too. Next up is that Gunfighter cover that's behind me. We talked about that earlier. But,
I was just going to say, I thought that was right behind you.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's an EC cover by Johnny Craig. What more do you need? With a guy getting punched and a girl being tied up, or who's already been tied up.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of that Mr. Miracle page earlier, but no train in this one. But
no
just
train.
barrels of dynamite with short.
And I love that classic Johnny Craig signature in the circle. Very identifiable and distinctive. And we've got another cover. This is Captain America number 428. This is Captain America crushed by AmeriCop. It's by Dave Hoover. AmeriCop, I don't know whatever happened to AmeriCop, but there was a trading card of AmeriCop, and they used this same image. They just cropped out Cap. And I believe also, if we look at the Wikipedia page of AmeriCop, this is the image they showed you.
Huh.
But it's a nice, dynamic, early '90s Cap cover that very much of its time, but also very, it's dramatic. It's got that nice power. It's a powerful image. It makes you want to learn more about the AmeriCop. I'm kind of curious now.
I always liked Hoover's art.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Even the drawing on the cat down at the bottom is actually really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice cover. I like it. Moving on, as it were.
Let's see. Sienkiewicz.
The Sienkiewicz inked by Joe Sinnott from 1980. So relatively early Sienkiewicz. And it's actually, the credit is Sienkiewicz breakdowns and Sinnott inks. It's credited on the page as art by Sienkiewicz and Sinnott. But really, it's a nice, kind of fun little family life with Reed and Sue and I'm completely, and Franklin. Jesus, I can't believe I couldn't remember Franklin Richards' name. But I also like that Reed is stretching, because you don't want to walk across the room to put your hat away if you don't have to.
Exactly.
He's got his pipe and he's stretching. And it's a really nice sort of fun slash. And I don't, Sienkiewicz and Sinnott is unusual and interesting. I can't imagine they did a whole lot together. Especially, definitely later on it would have made no sense. But it's really nice here. It has that that early Sienkiewicz, that sort of Neil Adams-y Sienkiewicz. You see that here, and then the cleanness of Sinnott, that really nice clean Sinnott inks, and Franklin's wearing a Spider-Man T-shirt, which is a Ringer T-shirt at that, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's slick, definitely.
Yeah.
Title. Who doesn't like a nice title page? So
I like title pages.
Wow.
Next up, we got some Frank Frazetta drawings.
Let's see here.
Page O drawings by Frank Frazetta. So we got naked ladies, cavemen, and a horse. But beautiful, beautiful drawings. Frazetta is Frazetta. There's not, if you need to be sold on Frazetta, then I can't help you. I can't help you.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get one of these too, right?
Yeah. It's the worst thing is, I'm sure you've seen them, those old '70s Russ Cochran catalogs.
Yeah,
this would have been like $40, and it would have been one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah, I know. One of these days, because I did some work for Russ back in the day, and they, before he passed, and they sent me the first 70 or 80, catalogs in order, and I've always wanted to do something with them, show them off, because they're they're just such a cool time capsule of what
No,
Bobby was
absolutely.
like back at that point in time.
And in 1975, spending $20 on a piece of art would have been a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of money. I mean, a comic was what, 20 cents? I mean, $20 is 100 times that. It wasn't. It sounds like nothing, but it wasn't an insignificant amount of money at the time. Perspective. I'm just trying to put things in perspective.
Yeah,
but
it's on 6.5 by 8.5 drawing paper. Mysteries of
yeah, it's and speaking of artists who make things look easy, Frazetta makes drawing look easy. There's no underdrawing. He's just drawing with ink, and that makes me angry as a guy who draws a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. I know. It's no, but that's awesome. It's a nice page because usually on these you just get one.
Really nice read. And it's got the nice full signature too, which you don't always get on the sketchbook pages. Sometimes you just get the one to the left.
Right.
And yeah, there's the other Frazetta up here, which is also in the option. This is just skip ahead while we're talking about Frank Frazetta. So this was available at the Frazetta Museum in the 80s, and you'd buy the print at the museum, and then there are different price points of what you wanted the remark to be. So you could get just the cat, or just the girl, or both of them, which was the most expensive option at the time. And I've seen a lot of these, not in person, but I've seen images of a lot of the drawings on this print. And this is one of the nicer ones of both of them. And it's a beautiful full name signature. I mean, Frazetta's signature alone is a work of art. It makes me angry sometimes. But yeah, just really beautiful, fully inked remark down at the bottom. Lovely. Also, just beautifully framed. Like, this frame is stunning. The matte is like this velvety green that matches the green in the image of the painting. Really beautifully framed. It's like sometimes, we get framed pieces in not a lot, but often enough. And more often than not, we take the pieces out because it's easier to image them. And most of the time, you sell a piece of frame adds cost to the shipping, and generally people don't want to pay, they don't want to pay the extra, whatever the extra shipping cost is. But when a frame is this nice, no, it comes with the piece. Same with the frame on the Johnny Craig. It's really nicely framed. So, you couldn't frame this piece better if you were doing it yourself. It's like the gold, this double matte with the gold inner matte that matches the gold in the frame, the velvet green that matches the painting, and that's a beautiful wood frame. Really nice. And a beautiful print with a beautiful drawing on it.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Somebody should just drive over there and pick it up after the auction.
Exactly. Then there you go. So somebody somebody who lives in the Northeast can come get it. I got more Todd McFarlane now. This is Infinity Ink. This is one of the nicer McFarlane Infinity Ink pages I've seen. It's more identifiably McFarlane than a lot of the pages. Very Mary Janey face here. The figures up at the top are like the faces are very McFarlane-y faces. Inks by Tony DiZuniga. But a really nice page, and I think even where it's at now, price-wise, comparatively to what Infinity Ink pages generally go for, people have recognized that it's a better than average page from this time period by McFarlane.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few Infinity Ink pages. This is one of the better ones.
Sure.
Yeah, that's nice.
Maybe the most interesting McFarlane piece in the auction, which I'm going to skip to it now because I want to talk about it because it's hilarious.
All right. Which piece is that?
I don't know why he drew this. I don't know why this exists at all. But that's Donald Duck by Todd McFarlane.
It feels like a Todd McFarlane sketch too.
It does. It does. And it's not Howard the Duck. It's very clearly Donald Duck.
Right.
with the weird giant black eyes.
Right. I mean, well, you're not going to see another one of those. That is
And this came from the same collector who had the Spider-Man page.
Uh-huh.
So this drawing is from around that same time, 1990. Based on when he got that page, I assume, you know, there's no reason to think that they weren't gotten that, if not the same time, close together.
Sure.
But just so strange. And right now, very affordable. This is like $100 and change right now. So you get your very own Todd McFarlane Donald Duck sketch. I can't imagine there's very many. I mean, Felix the Cat, that would make sense. McFarlane drew Felix the Cat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Duck, weird.
I hope it ends up on CAF. That's all I have to say.
It will get lots of comments.
It will. It really will.
All right. Oh my God, we gotta start moving quickly. See, I can't even with more time. John Bogdanove, Superman, yes. Superman Man of Steel cover, Superman Lobo. Bogdanove, I read a lot of Superman comics in the early to mid '90s, and John Bogdanove was one of my favorites because his art stood out from the rest. This is a great one. There's a lot of good Superman action. Lobo, you know, you didn't read comics in the late '80s and early '90s and not love Lobo. Move along. This is Dave Cockrum, Giant Size Avengers, number 3. So Wonder Man and Thor and Vision fighting. This page is cool. Great. Yeah, Bronze Age Dave Cockrum Avengers page is cool. And all right, Salvador LaRocca. This is a X-Men number 174. Just a buttload of X-Men on this cover. Wolverine, Bishop, Cyclops, Colossus, Rogue, Psylocke, Storm, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Beast. I think that's Polaris, Havoc. Like the whole gang. The gang's all there. Nice cover.
That's still has like pencil on it too, right? Just looking at
it. Yeah, it's like pencil and ink. That's just how LaRocca works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like the darks are filled in ink, the outlines are pencil, but it's as published.
Yep. I saw Marcus Cyclops front and center on that one.
This is Tony Daniel, Batman and Robin Eternal number 26. Really nice Tony Daniel cover, just a lot of characters, a lot of Robins, Batman, Batgirl, just a lot of characters going on in this cover. Good, nice work from Daniel. Daniel's an underappreciated artist a little bit, in my opinion. A really excellent Chris Bachalo Spider-Man page, just so much Spider-Man. Bachalo's another one of my favorite artists, so I have a soft spot for anything he does. Got nice Bachalo pointy feet and all sorts of great stuff on it. Tim Townsend inks. This is just an excellent page, like huge Spidey, and he goes around the whole thing. So it's basically a splash page with some inset panels, which is very cool.
Well, Townsend really did a great job inking Chris all the time.
Oh yeah. So Alan Davis again, this time inked by Mark Farmer. This is a Marvel Selects Fantastic Four number 3 cover. So you got Fantastic Four and Annihilus. And again, Alan Davis is great, and this is just more example why. All right, so we have a series of these Walking Dead variant covers. So there's Wizard Magazine would do, I guess not Wizard Magazine, but Wizard as a convention group at this point would do variant covers for their conventions. Yeah. So these are all variant covers for convention editions of Walking Dead number 1. So it's Michael Golden. This was from Wizard World Portland in 2013. This is Jerome Opeña. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. This is Wizard World Nashville from 2015. It's a really nice drawing on this one. This is Rob Liefeld this is Wizard World Madison 2015. Rob pencils and inks. So drawing, Rick and Michonne and Carl killing zombies. Miko Suayan. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Swayan.
Suayan. Really nice, ink wash, Michonne and Rick cover. He's a really good artist. Only recently come to my attention, but really nice drawing. Colleen Doran. This one's just pencil, so it's kind of hard to see. Rick and Carl surrounded by zombies. Really nicely rendered in pencil by Colleen Doran. But yeah, so those are all cool. There's a bunch of Walking Dead covers that aren't, going to cost you what the Tony Moore cover would cost.
Right, or a Charlie Adlard. So,
yeah, or that.
I don't think I've seen half of those.
What's that?
I don't think I've seen half of those before. So that's
yeah. I guess they did a lot of them, but they did them in parts of the world where I didn't go to conventions. So I was like, they're cool. There's an Adlard Walking Dead back cover in the auction as well from one of the Walking Dead hardcover books. Nice Adlard.
I didn't see that. Dig through. I did not notice that one.
Oh, that's all right. It's one of the tabs you have open.
Most likely.
It's all right. We'll burn through the tabs at the end. This is Addie Granov's Captain America cover. This one is stunning. This is Captain America Hail Hydra number 4, 2011.
Alberto cringes every time you hold up a nice tab.
Well, he'll be happy that a couple of the Captain America covers are in your tabs. I don't actually have them here. A couple of the Mitch Breitweiser Captain America.
Yeah, I can get this.
But this is beautiful. Granov is great. And again, just really good, hero image of Captain America.
And did you get to say hi to, wasn't Adi at Como?
He was. I did not get to talk to many of the people.
You had to work.
I did have to work. This is a great early Cerebus number 14. Yeah, wonderful example of early Dave Sims. This is sort of when Sim was really starting to come into his own. The style had sort of become refined, and he was figuring his stuff out. But even early Cerebus, giant blocks of text.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of the charm. Big fan of this comic myself. Let's see. Got back for a boy, Captain Flash. Sorry, I want to say Captain Marvel Jr., but I should be so lucky. It is Flash Gordon, but Raboy is the originator of Captain Marvel Jr. back in the 40s. I love Mac Raboy. He's one of my favorite Golden Age artists, so I can't say anything but nice things about this. And I think he did great work on Flash Gordon for about a dozen years. I think he drew Flash Gordon, which is, I think one of his dreams. Artists, Raboy clearly when he came up into comics, was clearly influenced by Alex Raymond. So getting to draw Flash Gordon, I'm sure, was a highlight for him. And this is a great example of 1960.
Incredibly fine lined, ink work like you'll never see.
Great Flash Gordon spacesuits, and it's great. I think they're fantastic. I wish I'd bought one of those years ago, but I didn't because I'm stupid. Skip to some of the bigger ones here. This is Joe Kubert, Brave and the Bold, number 44. This is just a great Hawkman page by Kubert, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. Great Kubert drawings, 1962. So twice up Joe Kubert. It's wonderful.
Well, I've been telling myself I need a Joe Kubert Hawkman page.
Yeah, I do. I need a Joe Kubert period. So this is that Joe Jusko we were talking about earlier. This is from 1979. This is the Jusko's very first published Conan piece. This was in Savage Sword of Conan number 55 in a backup little portfolio section called something like New Talents or something like that. Some sort of featured pinups by upcoming artists. So this is the very first Conan piece by Jusko that was ever published. And I'm a little annoyed that he was 17 when he drew this because it's very, very good. and it's enormous. Yeah, just great Conan. You know, the aftermath of the battles that Conan was victorious in because he's Conan. But yeah, just really, really good. Jusko is not, you know, people don't think of Jusko for his black and white work. And this makes me wish he had done more. Like really, really nice drawing.
Yeah, I agree.
The Jaime Hernandez Love and Rockets. It's a little not safe for work, just barely. So if there's any children watching, avert your eyes. This is from the original magazine run of Love and Rockets from issue 49. It's Maggie, and then just other great Love and Rockets content. This is Maggie's aunt, the wrestler. I forget her name, but she's throwing a guy against the wall. Some of the most beautiful comics ever made. The Jaime Hernandez Love and Rockets art is, just amongst the most beautiful comic art that's ever been made.
I'm not going to argue that. I love this stuff.
I have got a couple of Ethan Van Sciver Cyberfrog pieces. This is a cover to a relatively recent Cyberfrog, but Cyberfrog, one of the more unusual comic book characters of all time, I think, but interesting. So we got this one from 2020, and then this one from 1994. So one of the very earliest Cyberfrog stories. This is from a story that was drawn in 94, but not published until more recently. There were 2 issues published in 1994. This would have been in the 3rd issue, which didn't come out, and it was collected recently, but was drawn at the time. So it's rare early Cyberfrog art, which is nice. You know, it makes it a little more special. Let's see, more Chris Bachalo. This is from X-Men Age of Apocalypse. The Wolverine. It's a Wolverine page.
That's beauty. Dang it.
Yep. Let's see, you got a trio of Epting Captain America pages. It's a page from issue 4, Cap and Crossbones fighting. I think Crossbones wins that fight. Got a page from issue 2 after. So at the end of issue 1, the Red Skull gets apparently murdered. And this is Cap checking the body to see for himself. So that's, I think, the only good image in the whole issue where you see the Red Skull, the supposedly dead. Spoilers, he's not. But then when they killed Captain America, he's not really dead either. Just saying. But yeah, Cap and Nick Fury and the corpse of the Red Skull, or a corpse of a Red Skull. But beautiful. I mean, again, Epting's art on this series is great. Another page from issue 2, Cap and Sharon Carter.
Wow, that's a really nice one.
Yeah, this is a beautiful page. Through the sewers. Epting was really good at environments, and this is a great example of that. This is a cover to Creepy magazine number 44 by a guy named Vicente Segreles. I assume he's Spanish, but really nice painted sort of zombie cover. Nice. It's a creepy cover. It looks like a creepy cover, and it should. And it's really nice. Not an artist I was familiar with, but a perfectly good painting. It comes with a copy of Creepy number 41. This is Joseph Winsner. I think you did a show with him recently, did you not?
I did. I did. Yeah.
The Red Sonja Valentine's Day Special 2021. Nice, fully painted Red Sonja cover by Winsner. And this is a mixed media cover by John Van Fleet.
Ooh, sweet. So
Van Fleet worked very strangely. So there's some printed elements and painted over that. It's just how he worked. I've always been a fan. I think it's a nice, interesting technique. So this is a Gotham City Secret Files. So you got Batman, Gotham City. Really beautiful. So John Byrne drawing of Sue Storm from probably 1982. This came out of a book where all the drawings were from 1981-82. It's undated, but it is in between drawings that are dated. So I'm saying it's from 1982. You just got to trust me. But yeah, Byrne full, inked by himself, drawing a Sue. It's really sweet, sitting, looking nice. Sue Storm. It's a lovely drawing from while he was still working on the Fantastic Four.
Right. No, it's clearly the right era for that.
Yeah. So Wolverine covers is House of M, Masters of Evil #2 by Mike Perkins, a nice classic Wolverine with reflections in his claws cover. So you've got this guy's name I forget, and that's I don't remember, Sandman and somebody else. King, I don't know. I'm not even gonna guess. Crossbones, bunch of villains. But a great, Wolverine with reflections in his claws is classic. Help me out. I don't know who those is. That
I am having a hard time on that image too. But no, it's all, well, of course, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's great. Let's see.
It says you got the Hood, Absorbing Man, Crossbones, Batroc. That's your
Batroc. I thought it was Batroc, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I wrote that. Excuse me. We got a beautiful Mignola full figure Hellboy illustration from 2018. We all know what these, it's Mignola doesn't do a ton of fully inked full figure Hellboys anymore. It's not often you see the whole body, which is nice. It's cool. I love it. Let's see. Skipping around. Got a really nice Witchblade cover by Francis Manipool. 2002. But nice, Witchblade. Very Witchbladey Witchblade cover, but pretty drawing. Let's see. Really great Dazzler page by Frank Springer. Dr. Doom and Scarlet Witch, Dazzler, with roller skates in every panel. Roller skates in every panel. I think that's a selling point. Roller skates in almost every panel.
Yeah, no, that's a great page. Issue 5.
I made a few, like a month ago in the office, somebody was looking at that page and they were asking about Dazzler wearing roller skates, and I said that she was trying to be like Tootie. And then I realized that the person I was talking to had no idea who Tootie was.
Man.
I'm dating myself. Really nice. Whoops.
Oh, good thing they're in the heavy mount.
They've got boards on them.
Yes.
Nice early George Perez from Inhumans. But even 1976. But that nobody laid out a page like George Perez even back then.
No, I've got an Inhumans Perez page. No, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's got lockjaw in it, which to me makes any Inhumans page better. Let's see, skip around. This is Jeff Darrow's pencil art for the cover to the 2014 version of Dark Horse Presents #1. It's like a variant cover, I think, but there were two covers. I think it was like a 50-50 variant anyway. Mm-hmm. But Darrow did both of them. But for me, Darrow's work is in the pencils. He spends way more time on the pencils than on the inks. And they're just ridiculous. So a bunch of dogs down here wearing different t-shirts, and every car has a bumper sticker on it. This bumper sticker is for the National Boner Society. Like little jokes everywhere. This parking sign says no parking 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. dogs only except Sunday. So Darrow's an interesting guy. I talked to him in Como for a little bit. I hadn't seen him in several years, so it was nice to say hello to Jeff.
I saw he was up by the entrance to there. So he had a good spot.
Yeah, they did a really good job of spacing out the artists. So you had to go through the whole place to see. They didn't put all the big names in one room. That would have been inconsiderate. But another Darrow, big giant. So this is an inked on vellum Shaolin Cowboy. It's huge. I actually asked Jeff about this in Kobo because we weren't sure where it was used. He said it was a print. It was made into a print. So published Darrow, massive, basically, dismembering with a chainsaw, as the Shaolin Cowboy does.
Exactly the kind of print you'd want to have hanging on your wall.
Of course. Why not?
I love it.
Say Pat Broderick pinup from Spectacular Spider-Man number 223, 1995. Spider-Man and Mysterio pinup. It's cool. Always like Pat Broderick back from his Captain Atom days. And let's see, we got Greg Land splash page, Fantastic Four splash page from Marvel 2-in-1 from 2018. The Fantastic Four and some scrolls. Nice splash page.
Thing and Johnny on that one. That was good.
Yeah, it's Thing and Thing, Johnny, and some scrolls. Yeah. Nice. It's good action. Nice image of the Thing. We've got not one but two covers to everybody's favorite Marvel series, Night Thrasher. Night Thrasher was in the New Warriors. It's a New Warriors spinoff. These are both by David Bowler, and they're Night Thrasher covers. They're charming and interesting and very much early 1990s Marvel covers. I think they're kind of awesome in their way.
No, they look pure 1991.
Yeah, they do indeed. But they're, people love the New Warriors, and
yeah, of course.
I'm sure that with the New Warriors comes love for Night Thrasher, and they're probably not bad comics. I don't mean to make fun of them. They're cool. They're covers. They're Marvel covers from the 90s. But Night Thrasher number 8, Night Thrasher number 13. And I would be happy to own either of them. I'm not complaining. Who am I? Who am I to judge? Let's see, Master of Kung Fu, Keith Pullard, Master of Kung Fu Annual number 1. This is Shang-Chi and Iron Fist.
That's a nice page right there.
It is a really nice page. Riding horses in here. Got Iron Fist drinking and eating and riding horses. But a lot of good. That's a great Shang-Chi image in the first panel. And even the horse riding panel is really nice. Good stuff. Got some Master of Kung Fu pages by, if I don't get to them, 2 Master of Kung Fu pages by Paul Gulacy, which is really nice. You don't see those pages as much. Other Ethan Van Sciver, Batman, The Dark Knight number 20. It's Batman in the bat signal. Kind of a nice cover. See, a couple of Fantastic Four pages by Paul Ryan. There's a nice one with the Thing fighting a bunch of other things he is confused by. There's a bunch of other things that wish him harm, and you got Dr. Doom up at the top. And this page is Reed and Johnny about to fight each other. Nice and great Reed stretching panel, stretching all over the place. And then a nice Johnny becoming the Human Torch and going after Reed. But yeah, Paul Ryan did some nice work on that.
Yeah, Paul Ryan. I love his work. Another artist I've never owned anything by, but those are nice.
I told you I'd be done in 2 hours, and I lied. Keith Pullard Thor page, a great big eyeball.
And the end page too. That's great.
Yeah. I just seeing the last page, I want to find out what happens with Thor on that giant eyeball. Let's see.
That could be Ego's eyeball.
It could be. The Gene Colan Tomb of Dracula title page. I love Colan and Palmer. I love it very much. This is a Jorge Molina. This is one of the Deadpool photobomb variants. So this is the cover to Guardians 3000, number 1. But then you've got Deadpool being Deadpool and getting in the way. Very nice. It's a fun cover. I like it. And let's see. Oh, here's the Paul Galassi Master Kung Fu pages, Master Kung Fu 42 and 48. Beautiful drawing, nice busted Statue of Liberty down there. Wonder where they got that idea from. But that's okay. It's 1977, so it was both after Planet of the Apes and after Commandy. They've both done busted Statue of Liberties, but you know, a good image is a good image.
Oh yeah.
And Galassi Master Kung Fu work is great. This page especially has some really nice technique in it. Some of the, not zipatone necessarily, but like the sort of like rub-on transfer zipatone, which I don't know if that even exists anymore. Let's see. You have to trust me. This is a double page spread from Avengers 363 by Steve Epting. So it's like early 90s Steve Epting. It's great. It's got the Watcher in it, a whole bunch of Avengers. Just look at it on the website. It's cool. Let's see. It's a Kurt Swan Superman Day, like 1958, which is awesome. Relatively early Swan Superman. Great flying Superman image, all drawn on craft tint. It's so early in Swan that he's kind of drawing Superman like Wayne Boring, but still the faces, that Perry White there is pure Swan. It's great. I love this. I love this strip. It's Chris Pachalo designs for Doctor Strange from before he drew Doctor Strange, and these were published in one of the collected editions. So this is published concept art by Chris Pachalo of Doctor Strange. Let's see, it's Blue Beetle title page by Paris Collins. Paris Collins' Blue Beetle art is relatively rare, and this page has the Justice League International in it, which is also cool because Blue Beetle. And let's see, skipping around a little bit. A really, really great Ron Friends Thor page. I love this big face panel. Great Thor panel up here. But really, it's a big face. And it's a High Evolutionary who's recently featured in the movies.
Exactly. I love how Friends really adopted, or took on the, like Kirby panel approach, right? The 4-panel layout there. He did that so often, and it just made the stuff feel so I don't know. I don't want to say vintage, but it just made it feel cooler the way he approached the book.
Absolutely. This is another double spread from Gambit by Steve Skroce. This is Gambit and Gambit over here. Imagine, if you will, Gambit over here, Daredevil over here. Really nice. Steve Skroce, sort of famously like the main storyboard artist on the Matrix movies. A really talented artist, but again, a guy who did a lot of work in movies, so it's not thought of in comics so much. It's Ashley Wood pinup of Hellspawn that I believe was originally going to be used as a toy that Ashley Wood never made for any number of reasons, but great drawing by Ash. Ashley Wood, his first work in comics was drawing for Todd McFarlane. So he always said that whenever Todd asked him to do something, he would do it because he owes him his career. So he did some Hellspawn and some Sam and Twitch for McFarlane in the early 2000s, and then went on to bigger and
so you don't think Mark McFarlane still has that knowledge in his back pocket that
well, I mean, he did a variant cover for issue 300.
That's true.
He still calls his favors every now and again. Stephen Hughes' Lady Death from Lady Death number 11, 1998.
We have a few Lady Death fans in the audience. I know that.
Hey, nothing wrong with Lady Death. Really nice Lee Weeks Captain America page. Lee Weeks, 2003. I told Lee Weeks to his face that he annoys me because I've been a fan of his for almost 30 years now, and he keeps getting better. And I wish he would stop getting better. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah, he does great convention sketches. I have to say.
He's on my list.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is George Perez X-Men drawing from 1980, colored by Steve Oliff. Just it's cool because it's so early. Just like it's big and it's colorful, and I guarantee you they did this at the same convention in 1980. Just cool. Wolverine, Cyclops, Phoenix. Just great, early Perez. And a piece of art colored by Steve Oliff, where you can't say that he shouldn't have.
Right.
Which there are many. Let's see. It's a really nice Detective Comics splash page by Graham Nolan, 1996.
That's nice.
Yeah, Graham Nolan, Scott Hanna. This is, again, right around that. I was reading all those comics at that time, so it hits. One of the late period Wally Wood from his Lunar Tunes, where he was getting into peculiar drawing and collage. It's really interesting. This is like 1980, 81, like really late Wally Wood, but still very cool. So yeah, this is the original with the actual pasted in collages, and then a copy of that with the lettering here is all hand lettered. Don't want to forget our indie comics people. We got some sets. So this is the preliminary art to the second to last page of Clyde Fans. So the sets, whatever, like 600 page opus. This is the penultimate page. It's very cool. And this is really interesting. I want to show it because I don't think people are going to be really aware of it. So this is by an artist named Nur Levy. This is from a book called BioRipple that was published by Heavy Metal. Really beautiful drawing, really nice, like sort of psychedelic painted art. There are only 5 painted double spreads in the whole book. It's like a chapter title page. Yeah, as a co-published, I think it was like Heavy Metal and Simon & Schuster from last year or 2 years ago. But a really interesting work. I think a book deserving checking out. And this is it's really pretty drawing. And he was at Como as well.
Yeah, he's rep by Tatiana. I love his stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think a lot of times people can overlook things because they're not as familiar with the artist or the title. But good drawing is good drawing, and this is really pretty. And if you go to the page on the website for this, there's a little video link to a video about the book. You can learn a little bit and check that out.
Are you going to have to do more video spots on the new website?
Probably. I have to do one tomorrow. I was informed by a consignor that they were upset that I did not do one, so I will be doing that tomorrow.
All right. Well.
Do you mind if we skim through those tabs real fast?
All right. Let me.
But there are some good pieces that I don't want to overlook because I don't have them in front of me.
Got it. Let me swing this thing over to here. I'll even make it go.
Right, so that's Rich Butler from Astonishing Tales 26. That's the second appearance of Deathlock. Nice Deathlock page. Yeah, it was super early.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Next one is that's a great G.I. Joe page by Frank Springer. You got lots of his tanks and a great Cobra Commander shot in that, and that's the bottom. Yeah, Dreadnoughts, his tanks, Cobra Commander. I mean, that's a classic G.I. Joe right there.
Yeah, no, it's a great page.
Yeah, I like that. I like it.
And
that's a really beautiful John Buscema Savage Sword of Conan page. Just beautiful drawing. Who's the inker on that? Is that?
I don't know. I was going to say
it'll say in the Amiga. That would have been my guess. But it's really lovely drawing. Looks almost like Reed Crandall.
It does. I mean, because when I first saw it, I really didn't think it was.
Not Reed Crandall. I'm sorry, Roy Krenkle is what.
Yeah, Krenkle. Yeah, but it doesn't look like Buscema, right? And it's
for sure.
It's funny. Well, different approach to inking him.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's good. It's nice.
I hope people are still with us. It's been a little bit of a marathon. That's
we got almost 60 people watching us, Micah. We're doing all right.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. That is that Dan Barry?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a vigilante backup from Action Comics from, I want to say, like 1950. It'll say in the description what year it's from.
Yeah, 1950. See, you did write this, didn't you?
I do. I love there's that one great vigilante panel at the bottom where he's like riding a horse towards the viewer. It's really really wonderful. Oh, not riding a horse. Water skiing?
I can't tell what the heck that is, but
I'm a little. Is he riding it's like a jet ski or something?
It's definitely like a futurist.
Still cool. Vigilante is cool. What can I say? Any character from that time period who's still around, I'm all for it. It's a great Dan DiCarlo Archie, classic Archie sort of party cover.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's great. Yahoo.
Groovy. No more Alan Davis. Excalibur. We've talked about Alan Davis a lot.
Yes, we have.
Another Tony Daniel. This is Justice League #1, or the Justice League Rebirth #1, something.
Rebirth #1, yeah.
So that's like great, like a #1 and the whole team. Really, again, Tony Daniel's underappreciated, I think, and he draws a lot of high-profile things.
He does. He has a huge fan base. I mean, he has over 100,000 YouTube subscribers to his channel. I mean, I don't even know what that was, and that was like 3 years ago. So I don't know where it's at today. But what's on his YouTube channel?
He
does like drawing demos and that sort of thing. He's just very consistent. I mean, it's amazing. But I guess I should have picked up a pen and started drawing or something. But I think but hey, it's all
Bloom County Daily.
Yeah,
I love me some Bloom County. When I met Berkeley Breathed when IDW started reprinting the Bloom Counties, he did a few convention appearances, and I was excited to meet him because I've been a fan of Bloom County from when I was young, and I told him that Bloom County was the first comic that wasn't Peanuts that I cared about, that I made a point to read every day. And I would have been 11 or 12 years old. And he told me, he gave me the answer I least expected. He said that he didn't read Peanuts until he was in college. And I don't know how that's possible, growing up in America.
Right.
I was like, all right. But I love Bloom County. I do. I still think they're funny. I read them semi-regularly. It's maybe it's growing up in the 80s, but I'm a fan.
I
was thrilled to meet him. It's like he was, newspaper guys aren't the easiest guys to meet because they don't generally do comic book conventions. So I was happy that IDW brought him out. And there's in my cast gallery, there's a little sketch that he did for me at that appearance.
No, that's a good one. I love the strip too.
Yeah. Let's see, what's this? This is
Alex Saviuk.
Saviuk, Spider-Man again. That's Silver Sable. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Another nice example of Alex Saviuk Spider-Man.
Not bad.
Try to move along, especially with artists we've talked about already. That's this is Jim Starlin. This is one of his Thanos series, I think, from the early 2000s, but really I'd like to see Starlin drawing Thanos himself, especially in such a prominent page with a lot of other characters, Thor and Captain Marvel, and so he has a lot going on. But yeah, Starlin Thanos is special. It's a really nice Thanos imagery.
Yeah, that was a very nice page.
Yeah,
over 20 years old.
Yeah.
Here we go, Brightweiser.
There's the Brightweiser. That's the Avengers Invaders cover.
That is correct.
Yeah. there's two, so I forgot which one was which. Yeah, so Avengers Invaders #1. Is it #1?
Mm-hmm. It is #1.
There you go. Red Skull again, standing over a defeated pile of Avengers and Invaders. You know, Ms. Marvel and Cap and Iron Man. Brett Weiser's another guy. He's a good artist, and you know, I don't there for whatever reason. He just like, I don't know. You don't see a lot of it.
No, and I mean, he's works digitally now too, I think, and he does.
That could be why.
Yeah, I always liked his style though. I mean, he, you know, because he always was more of a painter. I always felt whenever I saw him, because I commissioned him a few times at shows and things, and he always did painted pieces. So his style is just really slick. But yeah, he's transitioned to just doing his own own stuff and digital.
Yeah, I think I first became aware of him when he did the Justice series with Alex Ross.
Yeah, that's true.
And I really like that book. That's actually, I think that book was wildly successful at what they were set out to accomplish. Just making basically like a modernized sort of semi-serious Super Friends.
Mm-hmm. True.
And yeah, again, because I am as old as I am, I do love the Super Friends. This is a Catwoman cover by
Rafa Sandoval.
Sandoval, thank you. Like I knew it. It's a peculiar wraparound cover where the title is on the left. So it was a fold out. So it's like instead of a wraparound being front and back, it's front cover and then the fold out insert.
Right.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was confused. I was like, that's not how wraparound covers work.
No, I
but
like
it's right there.
Yeah, I've always liked Sandoval's work.
It's good work. What is that? Martian Manhunter and is it Green Arrow?
It looks like Green Arrow to me.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And this is awesome. This is Don Newton. This is the cover to an issue of the Rocket Blast comic collector. So it's Don Newton doing Golden Age Daredevil and the Claw. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love this piece.
I was gonna say, it is on 11x17. Cool. That's nice.
Yeah, it's like 1970 something.
72.
Yeah.
Nice.
The really early Wendy Pini ElfQuest sketch, 1981. This came out of the same book that Byrne drawing came out of. There's a few pieces in the auction that came out of that same sketchbook. So there's this Pini. There's a Perez comment. I think that's in one of the other tabs. There's a Gil Kane, a really nice Gil Kane. There's a Zek Captain America from when Zek was drawing Captain America.
That's a great score then.
Yeah, it was a really nice book. But I don't know if I've ever seen an older piece of ElfQuest art. This is an Al Milgrom recreation, the supervillain team up cover. Classic Dr. Doom Red Skull team up cover.
Yeah.
Originally by Cockrum and Milgrom, but the recreation is all Milgrom. But still, very nice recreation. Al still does really nice work. There you go. So just hit the take me back button. There you go.
You think if I hit I'll see if the back button's not highlighted.
You can't take me back. The button in the middle.
Oh, that'll take.
Yeah.
I never even read that. Oh,
yeah. That's the Jim Lee Justice League page. Just a nice like setup page. I think it's page 1 of the issue. Just like a nice setting the stage kind of page.
Sure.
But just Jim Lee and Scott Williams. So it's dripping with style.
Yeah.
That's the Gil Kane. It's really, really nice Gil Kane.
And hey, Alberto, it's another cap, man. This is another Wiser right here, my friend.
I love this one because it's got spaceships in it. Captain America and some spaceships. It's great.
Yeah. See, I love Mitchell's work, man. I wish he would have stayed.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's again, it's like, sometimes, you don't get to read as many comics as you want, and you see all this work and it makes you want to go and check out these people's work.
Yep. That's Yeah, that is how it goes, man. My
And
breast.
then these two covers, if you look at the printed versions, they're heavily digitally futzed with. So it makes sense knowing that now that he's all digital now.
Yeah. Well, his
the
wife
next one
is a digital. You know, she's a colorist too, so she did a lot of the coloring on his stuff too. So here, this is that back cover.
The Adlard back cover, yeah. But just a great zombie portrait by Adlard. Another guy who's on my list of artists I want to get something by at some point.
Yeah, I haven't.
He's a flat page guy, right?
Yeah. I've never gotten anything like published pieces by him, but I've got a few convention sketches from him. I got one zombie, so I'm happy with that. I got a zombie.
Yeah, it's another one who's. I'd love to see him at a show like Como, where I don't have to fight the hordes to get on a commission list.
Exactly.
That was the best thing about that show. Just being able to think about what you want. This is great. Giffen. This is from the Lobo Infanticide series, like the final page splash. I love Giffen's work from this time period. He's a chameleon, but however he decides to draw, I like it. I especially like this style. It's very kinetic. It's a lot of drawing with pen. He when he was doing this style on Lobo or on Trencher, he would do the loosest of pencils, and he would do all the work in pen. And he came up with some really interesting work. Love Keith Giffen, one of comics' great curmudgeons.
Is he really? I've never met him. Never seen him in person. Never watched.
Oh, he's an interesting guy. I at one of the Jersey art cons, this was years ago, he was next to us. So I basically spent the whole day just chatting with Keith Giffen. And yeah, he's got a lot of stories.
Yep. Hey, Alberto's letting you know that you shouldn't list pages with an abbreviated word captain. Captain.
I think that was we have a character limit on our website, and it was the only way to get the whole title in.
Well, so that's Alberto says he couldn't find it. He didn't know it was there because he only searches on full Captain America.
Well, that's good to know. I've been complaining about the character limit as well. So hopefully that is something that will be adjusted with the new website as well.
Well, at least we helped him find it tonight.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
That is exactly. Now we got another Perez
drawing from that same sketchbook, 1982. Really, really nice drawing.
And nothing wrong with that. And then
this is Congo Bill's title page from an Action Comics, the Great Jungle Baseball Game. I'll leave that alone. but it's a great piece of Golden Age art. I'm not judging.
No, not at all. I mean, there's what is this in what year? 55? Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a few collectors out there that just focus on this era of artwork. I mean, it's
there's another question in the chat here that is also being addressed with the new website, the searching descriptions and not just titles.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Huh. We had that same problem on CAF, and you have to check a box to also search the description, just because there's just so much more data in there, and it's a slower search. But we did the exact same thing. What are you going to do? I mean, it's challenging writing good searches. I'll just put that out there. Well, let's see here. What's the next one? Jim Aparo. Look at that. Brave and the Bold. 112. Let's see.
Oh yeah, this page is great. Aparo pencils and inks. It's a Batman and Mr. Miracle. Wish you were brave and the bold. This page is all Mr. Miracle. I love Aparo when he inks himself. I just think this page is cool. I dig it. So what's that? 70 something. The year on that page?
74.
Yeah, nice.
2.5 hours. Yes, Jason. It's all right.
I know. We're almost done. This is a nice, beautiful Stan Sakai Usagi Yojimbo illustration. I've never seen a bad Sakai drawing. He just is incapable of not drawing. well.
Very true. It's kind of like Sergio Aragonés, right?
Exactly. I think that Sergio rubbed off on Stan. They spent a lot of time working together, and the fans know when you're not putting your effort into it.
Right.
Stan Sakai draws swords like Sergio Aragonés. It's the Seiya Figure swords.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the way he draws the sheen on the blade with the little dots trailing off at the end. That's Sergio Aragonés thing. That's
funny.
Yeah.
Alex
Ross prelim to the cover Earth X #0. So like the very first Earth X cover. And I like the notes, him sort of figuring out the layout and the design of the cover. Having the Earth in the middle acting as the #0. Alex Ross is very smart, and he puts a lot of thought into his design, especially of covers. Especially if this is if you're doing the first cover to a series that somebody's going to see, you want it to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got Captain America in it. Just saying.
Front and center. Now we got Pete Craig
Russell. Yeah, Son of Satan.
Dang.
I love the work on this series. It's such good drawing. Craig Russell was great, and great for Son of Satan. Just really bizarre character. What a weird character. Marvel's horror characters of the 70s are often very strange.
Well, this is I always like Pete Craig Russell stuff. To this day, I still love his stuff. I mean, this is nice though. I mean, what year was this? This is like mid-70s, right? 76. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really when he's getting started too. So that's a nice early page from him.
A couple more. This is some Jim Woodring. Don't want to let that go. Which book is this from? I don't remember. Poochie Town? Is it Poochie Town?
Poochie Town. Yes, it is.
Yeah. One of Woodring's many Frank stories, but they're all beautiful. Woodring's one of those guys where there are better pages, but there are no bad pages. He puts everything he has into every page, and the drawing takes him along. I have met him several times. Yeah.
Sweet. No, never had the pleasure. Yeah, I've always.
When I was with Scott, we did 2 shows with him at Scott's Gallery. Very interesting guy. Very not unassuming. He looks like a lumberjack. He's a big guy.
That is not what not the image I had of what I thought it would look like.
He's from the Pacific Northwest, and he looks like it.
Yeah. David, here, good news for you. Did you see this comment from Alberto? He said, I went from bidding on 3 pieces before today's show to bidding on 11 pieces now, so no more cap.
All right. Well, I know who to contact whoever we get something in. We have some pages for sale. I'll send you an email. It's David Finch slash from some Batman comic whose name I forget.
Forever Evil.
Forever Evil, yeah. But David Finch is great. And more alternative art because I have to represent. It's Peter Bagg from Hate #17, I want to say, one of the early color issues of Hate. One of the greatest comics of the 1990s, I think, and one of the most important comics of the 1990s. I think history will be very kind to Hate. It's a time capsule.
Well, that's slick page too. I've never owned anything by Peter, so
I have. I think I have 5 pieces.
Lucky.
And finally, John Paul Leon, Batman: Shadow of the Bat. John Paul Leon was an amazing talent, and so I like to show off his pieces whenever we have them. He was an extraordinary artist, right out of the gate. I remember. So we were in school at the same time, and he was friends with my roommate, my second year of college, and that was the year that Static came out. And he gave my roommate a copy of Static 1 to give to me because he knew I liked comics. And I remember looking at that book and being like, this guy is still in school, that I have a lot of work to do. And he just got better from there. I mean, I think it's been good. I mean, his work on Earth X with Alex Ross, and the Wintermen, and he's just a fabulous artist. And I was lucky enough to talk to him several times over the years at conventions. Super nice, just an incredible talent. And it's unfortunate. Cancer's terrible. But even this is a relatively early piece by him, and it's beautiful. He understood shadow the way a lot of artists try to and never do. And it's funny because we were in school at the same time, we had a lot of the same teachers, and I can see in his work the influence of some of those teachers back from art school.
Yeah, I've got an interview later in June with Bill Reinhold, who, of course, over John Paul Leon's Earth X and a few of the titles, actually. So it was one of the topics. I wanted to show a fair amount of work from that period and a lot of Bill's early stuff, too. But, yeah, I love John Paul Leon's stuff.
Yeah, just really, I wish I had more work by him. I commissioned him at a convention, and that's the only piece I have, and I wish I had more.
That's the same thing I did. I have a Zorn from X-Men, because
my go-to commission request used to be zombies, and I didn't get that many of them, but that was pre-Walking Dead, and then that happened, and I stopped asking people to draw zombies for me because it was before Marvel Zombies and before The Walking Dead, and I was like, all right, no more zombies for me. That's fine. It's all good. Man. But anyway, that's it for now. There's a lot more in the auction.
There is. I mean, what was the total count? I mean, it's over
300 and something, 330 something.
I mean, that's got to be up there as far as like one of the bigger art auctions.
We've had, I think we had over 400 once, but yeah, I like to have right around 300 to 350 is sort of my target for each auction. It gives you a nice variety. Got a nice head start on the next one already. Some nice pieces, some cool pieces, some things that have been sitting in collections for. We have a piece of art that I think is moderately significant that has been sitting in a collection since 1974, 74, 75, something like that, where it was a gift. It was a gift to the guy who consigned it when he was a child.
Dang.
And I'll tell you all about that piece in a few months.
All right.
You saw go to the website. You can look through everything. The auction ends Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. We're always happy to talk to anybody about either bidding on higher priced items if you need approval, or time payments if that's something that might be beneficial. Or we also you want to buy something and pay for it with consignments in future auctions. We do that all the time. I want to connect art to people who love it, and whatever I can do to help facilitate that within my power, I will do. And I thank everybody for sticking with us. We went a little longer than I had anticipated.
No, it was good. This is why we need longer, a dedicated show for these.
I agree.
It's a lot more fun.
The day after Memorial Day was a bit rough, but
yes,
it was all right. It was okay.
I agree. No complaint. And Alberto asked a good question. We usually talk about that. The auction format is that what is it? If you bid in the last
bidding. So the last once a counter gets down to 3 minutes, every bid resets the clock to 3 minutes. So no sniping. You can't have anything stolen from you, and you have plenty of time to convince yourself to bid more.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I know from experience, bidding in auctions, I have a number in my head. It's like I'm going up to that number, and then it hits that number, and then I bid at least 2 more times. Because when you want, especially art, when you want a piece of art, I'm not going to let a small, whatever the bidding increment is at that point where you're at, I'm not going to let one bid cost me a piece that I want. I'm going to make the person who outbids me pay more than I want to pay for it.
Right.
because otherwise I want it. I mean, that's just how auctions work.
Exactly. No, but your format does make it a lot easier to kind of contemplate things because when it's happening fast and furious and you only have a split second to think about it, I think a lot of times people will choke. Sometimes they'll keep throwing that bit in there, but you measure yourself. You're like, yeah, I can do this again. You have at least you have that time to think about it. So
you're a Marvel fan, so yeah, Mandel went $500,000 above his number and still lost.
He made him pay. That's
and he will regret it for the rest of his life. Because I know how much Dave wanted that actually. I'm in the office every day. If anybody wants to talk to me, I'm here. I'll be here during the auction on Monday. If anybody has any issues or questions about anything specifically during the auction, I'm always here during the art auction. So I am available. And we've got some conventions coming up. We'll be at Heroes Con in a few weeks.
I'll see you there.
You're going up for that again? All right. That'd be nice to see you. And then, it's Torpedo Con and then San Diego, and Torpedo Con in LA and then San Diego in July. And then
what is your email address to? Give that out to everybody.
It's just my name, Micah, then the letter S at ComicConnect.com.
There you go. So you have any of those questions about the current auction, you can hit Micah up. If you've got consignment questions for future auctions, hit Micah up.
The phone number for the office is on our website, and I'm here all day, every day, pretty much.
Fantastic.
Except for when I'm in Italy.
Exactly. That's only once a year.
Hopefully once a year. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much, Bill. I'm sorry to keep you up till almost midnight.
No. Hey, this is fine. I'm well rested, so I was ready for it. But yeah, I look forward to getting to see you at Heroes. Don't forget we have that kickoff party on Thursday night. I don't remember if you made it to that one. I think Vincent showed up at that one.
I did make it. I will definitely make it to that. That was fun last year.
It was a good time. Yeah, everybody, we had a great turnout. I think we'll probably have an equally large turnout this time around too.
Yeah. I forgot that party was at that show. All the conventions all blur together.
Yes, it was that one. It was the well, there'll be information about it. But yeah, it's considered the hero kickoff party. But at the end of the day, it's mostly comic art fans at that show.
I will be there.
All right, awesome.
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Bill for hosting. Always a pleasure. I think that it's painfully obvious that I enjoy talking about all this.
Well, and we all love it. That's the thing, man. That's you see the people in the chat love it as well. I mean, that's what
sure. I got a call today from a collector that should have been 5 minutes, and I think it was an hour because we just started going off on tangents. So anytime anybody wants to chat about art, give me a call. It beats working.
That is very true. All right, Micah, thank you so much for doing this. In a few weeks.
What's that? Sorry?
I'll see you in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.